has. That's my only feeling I can think of why this has been brought in. They talk about harmonizing European law. But you know, that word harmonizing is a really very strong word, a very difficult word. I don't think, you know, we're all different nationalities, and if you try to force people to be the same, it tends to push people further apart. We can blend naturally without being forced. And I think the beauty of our country has always been that we've had the freedom of expression, the freedom to express ourselves the way that we wish to do. Let's not take away that freedom.
Yes. And I would say keep your hands off our religion.
Well, what would you suggest that you can do about this? You know, a call to arms, writing letters. I hear you're doing a petition and writing to members of parliament. What else do you suggest that we can do?
Well, there's already been a petition that was online,
Yes, online,
for people to sign. Thousands and thousands of people signed it, but the government literally has taken no heed of that at all. We are urging people to start petitions up in their spiritualist churches, as we are doing, and we are writing today to every member of parliament with our objections to this act, and we urge other people to bombard their MPs with letters, with phone calls, with emails to show, you know, their dissatisfaction with what is happening with this new act. You know, we can achieve much if we put our minds to it, but if we sit back and just say, well, what can you do about it, which tends to be the British disease. We're so middle of the road here that we say, well, there's no point in saying anything because nobody will do anything about it. You know, when the British people are pushed, that is when they react best of all. And I feel that we are really being pushed now. Let's react. Let's let our government and the European community know that we don't want this, that we won't accept this change in the law.
You know, there's an old saying which says, united we stand, divided we fall. Are we going to fall by being divided, or are we going to be united and stand strong? I think as spiritualists and people who have common sense, whether you belong to another religion or not, you surely must be able to see the unfairness in this act. So let us stand united and win through.
Yeah. We are not a bag of potatoes to be bought over a counter. So please do not treat our religion as a commodity.
Can you just tell us a little about reincarnation, because that's another subject that comes up a lot along with the moving tables. How do you perceive the reincarnation? I won't call it a theory. How do you do that?
Can I say very briefly that in the early days of spiritualism, when spiritualism was just being rediscovered, and I say rediscovered because spiritualism has been about since time immemorial, but of course it was laid dormant for many years because of the Witchcraft Act, where mediums and healers would go into hiding, or they would be burned at the stake as witches, you see. And so
they really had to have, it was crude means by which they
that's
really communicated in the beginning,
To
such as the wrappings,
really, wasn't it?
such as the wrappings. And when we talk about table tilting and things like this, yes, of course, it all went on because it was just proving that that we're able to use the energy that was there. Table tipping on its own doesn't make you a spiritualist, but it was there. It was, it had to be taken one step at a time. And of course, it was always a little bit more exaggerated in those days than it is now. It's been refined much more because, mediumship now is at a different level. There were wonderful people like Douglas Hume, D.D. Hume, who was able to levitate up to the ceiling. And there was an experiment that was attended by Sir William Crookes, one of the most famous of our scientists, where he levitated in a first floor office up to the ceiling, out of the window, and into the room next door, through the window, and into the room next door. This is just another form of energy, of utilizing that energy. And some people have that wonderful gift of being able to use that energy for those purposes.
Physical mediumship.
Everything, physical mediumship, wonderful people like Eusebio Palladino, the Italian medium, our own Gordon Higginson, who was president of the Spiritualist National Union for many years, Helen Duncan, they're all wonderful physical mediums who could produce, through the help of their audience, because ectoplasm comes from the energy of the people too, they were able to produce ectoplasm from which a form of a human being, but not in human form obviously, but a being would build up and could come out and hug you, touch you, speak to you, and feel as three-dimensional as you and I.
So the question of reincarnation now, we hear a lot about this, there's a lot of films about it, Hollywood touches on it. What is the stand of the, we'll call it the Spiritualist National Union, which perhaps you may also tell us, the organisation that oversees the churches in the country. What is the sort of stand on the belief in reincarnation?
Well, the Spiritualist National Union leaves it to people to make their own opinion upon this. However, they do say that they don't feel as though there has been enough evidence yet to prove reincarnation. That is not to say that they don't believe it's possible. They leave the door open and allow people to find their own level of understanding. We had a deep trance medium here recently, and her guide invited questions. And of course the inevitable came up, what does he think of reincarnation? And the guide's answer was that we know not of reincarnation in my level of existence, but we do know of incarnation. He asked the question, why would anyone, after going through such trials and tribulations in the physical life, choose to come back and put themselves through that again? Yes, he said, maybe some will, but the vast majority, he said, will do what we believe in. They will incarnate into other levels of consciousness. So other levels might even mean onto other planets.
Who knows?
Who knows?
And the Spiritualist National Union we just mentioned, could you tell us who they are?
The Spiritualist National Union is the only recognised spiritualist body in the country. And they represent about, over 400 spiritualist churches in this country. Of course, we have other bodies. We have the Greater World, which is the Christian spiritualist movement. We also have the ISF, the International Spiritualist Federation, the SAGB, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain. There are a number, but the only recognised body in Great Britain is the Spiritualist National Union.
I do believe that we have 3 churches in the United States that are aligned with the Spiritualist National Union here in Britain. I understand that either 1 or 2 of them are in New Jersey. I'm afraid I don't know where the 3rd one is, but I know that we would like very much to sort of align with other spiritualist unions around the world, not to necessarily amalgamate, but to work together, on the same line of thought. Al and I, you asking the question about how we came into spiritualism. Well, that's quite a long story, but when we were brought up Church of England, we had an aunt through marriage who married into the family who was a deep trance medium. And she used to take us to one side as small children and talk to us about spiritualism. And of course, being like most people are that don't understand spiritualism, my mother would sometimes say to us, oh, they'll come and take you away in a little